Hi, I'm Rory.
And I'm Orlando.
And you're watching ESS
Connect.
Perched on the edge of Surrey, the picturesque parish of Portland was once renowned for glitz, glamour, and rebellions. Portland, whose capital lies here in Port Antonio, has a population of 82,000 and is situated to the north of St. Thomas and the east of St. Mary.
Parish was formed in 1723 and it was named after the Duke of Portland, who was governor for Jamaica between 1722 and 1726.
With a total area of 314 square miles, Portland is Jamaica's 7th largest parish.
A distinction the parish only achieved in 1867 after a long and bitter dispute with its neighbor, St. Thomas, over the Long Bay and Manchineal area.
Portland received Manchineal in 1779, a fishing settlement, which got its name from the Manchineal tree, a tree which grows exclusively along its coastline.
Then, in 1867, when the number of parishes were reduced from 22 to 14, it was granted the Long Bay and the Buff Bay area, cementing its status as the 7th largest parish.
Think you know all there is to know about Portland? Well,
here are 5 things you didn't know, didn't you?
Navy Island. It is a small island off the coast of Port Antonio.
The island received its name from the British naval base, which was created in the 18th century to protect Port Antonio and to service British ships.
Originally, the island was given to Sir Thomas Lynch for his service to the British Crown. Lynch served as governor to Jamaica on 3 separate occasions.
1664, 1670, and finally 1682. During this time, the island was called Lynch Island.
It is comprised of 64 acres of land, and despite passing through numerous owners, it is perhaps best known for once being the possession of Australian actor Errol Flynn.
And what is your name, please? My name is Errol Flynn.
In 1946, after docking in Kingston, awaiting repairs on his 118-feet schooner, Zaka, Flynn discovered Port Antonio.
Four years later, he returned with his wife, Patrice Wymore, who encouraged Flynn to purchase Navy Island and the Titchfield Hotel.
Throughout his life and career, Flynn established the reputation of being a lively drinker and a womanizer.
On Navy Island, Flynn hosted many wild Hollywood parties and entertained his jet-setting friends throughout the 1950s.
Flynn never had a home on the island. Instead, he moored his yacht there.
Over the years, Flynn acquired more real estate in Portland. Chief among them were Navy Island, Titchfield Hotel, and several cattle and coconut estates. Flynn dreamt of promoting tourism throughout Portland.
However, the years of hard living eventually caught up with Flynn. He died on October 14, 1959, at the age of 50.
Flynn's presence in Port Antonio in the 1950s helped to attract celebrities and international attention.
Today, Navy Island is maintained as a tourist resort and attraction.
The Blue and Jonquil Mountains is a remote mountainous region located in the northeastern section of Jamaica.
The mountains border the eastern parishes of St. Thomas, St. Mary, St. Andrew to the south, and of course, Portland.
The mountains are covered with dense tropical montane rainforest, and it has a respective height of 7,400 and 3,800 feet.
The Blue and Jonquil Mountains is best known for its biodiversity and relevance to the history of the Jamaican Maroons.
The region is home to the Windward Maroons.
And to the giant swallowtail butterfly, the largest in the Americas.
The Maroons were the first enslaved people in the Western Hemisphere to militarily defeat the British. This they did through protected warfare between 1700 and 1740.
The Blue and Jonquil Mountains is also home to the Hagley Gap
and Mavis Bank farm communities, both of whom rely heavily on the area's rich soil for the cultivation of coffee. It is here that the famous Blue Mountain coffee is cultivated
between 2,000 and 5,000 feet above sea level.
In 1993, the Blue and Jonquil Mountains National Park was established.
The park is located at Hollywell,
about 1 hour's drive from Kingston,
and it is maintained by the Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust.
On July 3rd, 2015, the Blue and Jonquil Mountains was inscribed to the UNESCO's World Heritage List. This is Jamaica's only World Heritage Site. The Frenchman's Cove Resort is located on a 42-acre property near Port Antonio in the Sansan area. The hotel received its name from an old legend which documents an explosive battle between British and French soldiers near the cove. When the French soldiers were later defeated by the British, the wounded soldiers sought refuge inside the cove, hence the name Frenchman's Cove.
The property was originally owned by Lorenzo Baker, a Bostonian sailor and businessman, who in 1870 spearheaded the banana export industry and tourism in Portland.
Baker died in 1908, and the property was purchased by an association called the Cold Harbor Estate, with whom it would not long remain.
In 1956, the land was purchased by Garfield Weston, a Canadian business tycoon who served in the British House of Commons during World War II. Weston's original intent was to develop the property as a retreat for himself and his executive staff.
What he did not realize, however, was that the deed to the property stipulated that it had to be developed as a public resort in order to aid in the development of Portland.
Weston was eventually persuaded by the Custos of Portland to build a hotel. Constructions began in 1958, and the hotel opened its doors in 1962.
Weston would eventually pass the reins for the property's development to his eldest son, Granger Weston.
Granger quickly concluded construction of the hotel, along with a cottage complex, and soon the hotel was touted to be the world's first all-inclusive hotel.
Granger was advised on this new concept of the all-inclusive resort by Swiss hotelier Jean-Pierre Aubry. The jewels of the property are the 16 private villas that are scattered over the hotel's park-like grounds.
The villas are made of glass and limestone.
Deceptive in their apparent simplicity, the villas were daringly modern at the time of construction. They were a sharp contrast to many of the villas being built in Sansan at the time. These architectures paid homage to the Georgian style. The villas at Frenchman's Cove were blatantly modernist.
Over the years, Frenchman Cove has played host to many distinguished guests, including Queen Elizabeth II, Elizabeth Taylor, the Beatles, and many more.
A villa was even built for British philosopher and mathematician Bertrand Russell.
During the 1950s and 70s, Port Antonio became known as a secluded haven for rich and famous people.
Due in part to the efforts of Baker, Weston, Flynn, and to hotels like the Frenchman Cove's resort.
The Right Excellent Nanny of the Maroons is Jamaica's only heroine, and perhaps Portland's most infamous native.
She's an iconic figure in Jamaican history, and her legacy has been celebrated in poems, portraits, and currency.
Much of Nanny's early life is unknown, including her birthplace. What is certain, however, is that she, along with other enslaved people, sought refuge from a brutal slave society in the Blue and Jonquil Mountains, where together they established a maroon community.
It is often cited that under British rule, the Maroons were perhaps the first set of people to settle in Portland, and that it was this settlement, coupled with Portland's unfavorable climate, which deterred white settlement here.
But who exactly were the Maroons? And how did Nanny become their most powerful leader?
During the 15 to 1600s, enslaved Africans brought to Jamaica by the Spanish escaped into the Blue and Jonquil Mountains, taking refuge with the Tainos, who had sacred sites deep in the interior of the island.
The enslaved Africans were called Cimarroons by the Spanish, a term the English would later translate to Maroons.
By 1640, the Maroons had established settlements in the east of the island. This group, consisting of 600 women and children and 300 men, were known as the Windward Maroons.
In 1655, when Britain captured Jamaica from Spain, it instituted a system of slavery that was so harsh that it resulted in a mass exodus of enslaved people who fled to the mountains, increasing the size of the Maroon settlements.
The capital of the settlement became known as the Great Negro Town, and later Nanny Town.
The English insistence on settling these lands led to the outbreak of the Great Maroon War.
Beginning in 1725.
It was during the height of the Great War, 1728 to 1734, that the Maroons, under the leadership of Nanny,
and using their superior knowledge of the mountains, waged a successful guerrilla war against the British.
The British eventually relented with the signing of a peace treaty in 1739 with the Leeward Maroons, and in 1746 with the Windward Maroons. Though the details of Nanny's life are still shrouded in mystery,
She likely died in 1750.
Nanny remains a symbol of resistance and power in Jamaican history. In 1976, the government of Jamaica declared Nanny a national heroine. The Blue Lagoon. It is situated 7 miles east of Port Antonio. The lagoon was once thought to be bottomless, though divers have since determined its depth to be around 180 to 200 feet.
The Blue Lagoon is composed of fresh spring water from the mountains and salt water from the Caribbean Sea.
The lagoon was originally called the Blue Hole. However, following the success of the Brooke Shields film, The Blue Lagoon, which was filmed here, the site in 1980 was renamed the Blue Lagoon.
The water inside here is warm and cold. There are 33 springs that expose inside here. So that's what gives it the cold feel mixed with the ocean water. So on top is cold, under warm.
The lagoon is one of Jamaica's largest underground spring-fed lagoon, and it is located in a protective cove along the coast.
So it flows approximately 40 miles underground from the Blue Mountain and exposed here.
The lagoon's most striking feature is its mystical blue color, which changes throughout the day depending on the angle of the sun.
The Blue Lagoon has attracted many high-profile visitors, including Robin Moore, who wrote The French Connection whilst living here.
So in the days you would see him here getting his inspiration and writing.
The lagoon drew the famous explorer Jacques Cousteau,
who couldn't resist the dive to discover the mysteries contained in its depths.
That's the mineral spring there, the fountain of youth. So the old folks claim when they swim inside they feel 10 years younger. So if you want to feel 20 years, you go in 2 times.
In 1951, Prime Minister Norman Manley
declared that the site would be protected and preserved as part of Jamaica's heritage.
My name is Rory. My contact info is 1-876-299-9548. You can contact me for tours, the best tour you will ever get on the Blue Lagoon.
Alright guys, this has been our Fire Things Portland. Now we never go everywhere in Portland. There are places that you know that we may have not gone. So leave your comments.
So don't forget to share, to like, and to subscribe to ESS
Connect. And to all our new subscribers, thanks for subscribing, keep subscribing and sharing.